Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Dipen Datta. I'm a pharmacist educated in India and in the USA. I'm delighted to make this virtual presentation titled An Overview of Current Pharmacy Education in the United States of America. But before I start my presentation, I would like to say a few words. I have dedicated my life to the pharmacy profession, which is an integral part of the healthcare system in the United States of America. The mission of pharmacy practice in the USA is to provide safe, high quality patient care through competence, professionalism, and effective communication. Today, pharmacists go far beyond the counter, assisting patients in new ways of helping them manage diabetes to administering COVID-19 vaccines. I have to say that I'm blessed with this profession because I could help so many people directly or indirectly who needed the help concerning their health care. I hope this presentation will help the prospective students gain enough knowledge to make their minds in choosing pharmacy as their profession. Now, let's get started. In this slide, you will see the learning objectives of this presentation. First, on the left, in a blue box, you can see pharmacy education, under which there are 3 bullet points, and these are an overview of current pharmacy education in America, Doctor of Pharmacy degree, in short, it is called PharmD, and postgraduate pharmacy education. Then under pharmacy licensing, in a green box on left, there are 2 bullet points, and these are North American Pharmacist Licensure Examination, in short, it is called NAPLEX, and National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, that is NABP in short. Next one, on the left-hand side, in red box, is continuing education. In short, it is called CE, under which there are 2 bullet points, and these are CE credits and professional pharmacy associations. Finally, on left, in the gold box under career option, there is 1 bullet point, and that is career paths of PharmD graduates. Now, let's go to the next slide. The picture you're seeing in this slide is of mine with my email address under my name. Now, the following is a synopsis of my educational background and work experience. So, immediately after I got my B.Pharm degree from Jadavpur University in Kolkata, I migrated to US, where I studied further to earn my PharmD degree, MS in Pharmaceutical Science, and became registered and licensed pharmacist while I was working in the pharmaceutical industry. At the bottom of the slide, under my picture, you can see that I have worked in many areas of pharmacy field, including analytical chemistry, pharmaceutical manufacturing, packaging, quality assurance, retail pharmacy, and clinical research in the following areas: cardiology, ophthalmology, endocrinology, oncology, and general drugs. Let's move to the next slide. In this slide and the next one, let me give you an overview of the current pharmacy education in the US. So let's get going. In early 20th century, pharmacists were responsible basically for compounding and dispensing. By 1950s, professional standing of pharmacists had begun to be defined more by patient care services. During early 1970s, clinical education concept was first introduced and implemented in colleges of pharmacy in the US. During 1980s and 1990s, the method for educating, training, licensing, certifying, credentialing, and continually assessing pharmacists in the US had systematically undergone a dramatic and rapid transformation. Let's now move on to the next slide, continuing with the current pharmacy education in America. During the end of 20th century, reflecting the significant transformation in the field of pharmacy, the curriculum for PharmD degree was modified to include the following sections: clinical pharmacy, pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, effects, interaction of drugs with biological system, physical and chemical properties of drugs, therapeutic dosage, side effect, drug-drug interaction, medication use and engage patient to improve overall health, medication therapy management, patient education and behavioral counseling, and preventative care. In the next slide, I'll talk about Doctor of Pharmacy degree. Again, it is called PharmD, like Doctor of Medicine called MD. As of July 1st, year 2000, PharmD degree became sole degree necessary for becoming a pharmacist in the US, meeting all other requirements. I'll talk about these requirements a little later. PharmD degree is accredited by Accreditation Council for Pharmacy Education. In short, it is called ACPE, which is recognized by the US Department of Education, that is USDE, in short, for the accreditation of professional pharmacy degree programs. The accreditation process provides a professional judgment to assure qualifications and educational standards for the colleges that offer professional PharmD degree program. ACPE conducts initial and subsequent periodic evaluations of the accredited colleges as required by their protocol. Just to mention here that the satisfactory periodic evaluations are required for maintaining the accredited status by the pharmacy colleges. In this slide, I'll review more information on PharmD degree. Prospective pharmacy students required to complete 2 to 4 years of college as prerequisites before starting a 4-year professional PharmD program. Some pharmacy colleges give preference to students who have 4 years bachelor degree with science major. However, individuals who hold a bachelor or other advanced degree must still complete all the 4 academic years of professional PharmD. There are some colleges that offer straight 6-year PharmD program after high school graduation. Out of the 6, first 2 years are considered prerequisites. So, total duration to complete a PharmD degree may take 6 to 8 years. Now, let's look at an example of a 2-year curriculum in the right box below. These are the courses needed as prerequisites for the 4-year professional pharmacy degree. You can look at them to get an idea. These are all college-level courses. In the next 3 slides, you will see an example of a curriculum for the 4-year professional PharmD degree. In this slide, in the 2 boxes below, you can see the example of the first and second year courses that are taught in the PharmD program. You can take a look at them. I'm not going to review them. By the way, first 3 years of PharmD program are didactic, meaning in the classroom, or it can be virtual as long as the presenter is present. In the next slide, we will look at the third year curriculum of the PharmD program. As you can see in this slide, that third year PharmD program is very much clinically oriented and very intense. Let's look at the courses now. Clinical pharmacokinetics, pharmacy law and bioethics, clinical immunology, hematology, oncology, endocrine therapy and special patient population, renal, GI, nutrition therapeutics, pharmacy communication, physical assessment, self-care and home care, and neuropsychiatric therapeutics. Now, let's move to the next slide. In this slide, we look at the activities of students during the fourth year, which is the final year of the PharmD degree. So, during the final year, students devote their time gaining advanced pharmacy practice experience, where they will be off campus, rotating and learning in a variety of healthcare environments like community pharmacy, ambulatory care, health system pharmacy, and general medicine. The rotations prepare students in demonstrating competence in the following areas: direct patient care, treating diverse patient population, collaborative patient care decision making with an inter-professional healthcare team. Healthcare team usually consists of physician, registered nurses, pharmacists, and other healthcare professionals. The rotation also allows students to explore areas of interest and gain exposure to professional opportunities. Let's now move to the next slide. This slide contains a few key information on PharmD degree. The updated PharmD curriculum is designed to incorporate advances in real-world pharmacy practice with more focus on patient-oriented care, interaction with interprofessional teams, practice-based scientific data and evidence, quality improvement, and informatics. Pharmacists in the US with PharmD degree represent the following: the increasing responsibility pharmacists have in the healthcare system, the high trust Americans have in pharmacists. In order to be a licensed pharmacist and practice in the US, a student must have a PharmD degree and requires passing the following examination: North American Pharmacies Licensure Examination, which stands for NAPLEX, Multi-State Pharmacy Jurisprudence Examination. In short, it is called MPJE. MPJE combines federal and state-specific law questions, since each state in the US regulates its own scope of pharmacy law and practice. Please note here that more on NAPLEX will be explained in the upcoming slides. In the next two slides, I'll talk about postgraduate pharmacy education program. Let's look at them. Two types of postgraduate pharmacy programs are available following the completion of a PharmD degree. 1. Pharmacy residency. This is for licensed pharmacists only. 2. Pharmacy fellowship, for which license is not mandatory. Now, let's talk about pharmacy residency. Pharmacy residency program is of 1 to 2 years. Postgraduate Year 1, which in short is called PGY1. It is an organized, directed, accredited program designed to enhance general competencies in research, managing medication and medication therapy outcome for patients with a broad range of disease states. Just for your information, students may leave after completing PGY1 or choose to continue on second year program, which in short is called PGY2. Now let's talk about PGY2. It builds upon competencies achieved in PGY1 residency. Also, it is referred to as a specialty residency that focuses within a specific area of pharmacy practice such as hematology, oncology, pediatrics, ambulatory care, organ transplant, and much more. Now, let's move on to the next slide to talk about Pharmacy Fellowship Program. Pharmacy Fellowship Program is 1 to 2 years of duration. In general, there are two different types of fellowships. One, academic fellowship. It focuses on research and in a specific clinical area like infectious diseases, nutrition, cardiology, etc. Number two, industry fellowship. It is usually a joint venture between universities and pharmaceutical companies and designed to prepare PharmD graduates for working in a pharmaceutical companies in the areas such as clinical research, global regulatory affairs, medical affairs, medical information, and others. Now, what are the reasons the PharmD graduates should choose residency or fellowship? Here are the reasons. The programs help in the development of leadership and critical thinking, personal growth and professional vision, expertise in clinical research and drug development, enrichment of scientific presentation and writing, opportunity for career planning, enhancement of direct or indirect patient care. Last but not least, enhancement of employment opportunity. In the next slide, I'll talk about NAPLEX. Let's go to the next slide. NAPLEX is an examination developed and managed by National Association of Boards of Pharmacy, which is abbreviated as NABP, for the purpose of licensure eligibility. You will learn more about NABP later to see how this association plays a major role in supporting the pharmacy education and practice in the US. Basically, NAPLEX is designed to evaluate general pharmacy practice knowledge of pharmacy graduates. Also, the foreign educated pharmacists who have earned their Foreign Pharmacy Graduate Examination Committee certification are eligible to take the NAPLEX test if they meet other requirements. NAPLEX is a 6 hours test with 250 questions asked, and the minimum passing score is 75, while the maximum score possible is 150. And after a failed attempt, one is allowed a maximum of 5 attempts to pass the NAPLEX, waiting at least 45 days for the next attempt. However, no more than 3 attempts are allowed within a year. For your information, the average passing rate of NAPLEX in the year 2019 for the first attempt was 88.34%. In the next slide, I'll show you the categories from which NAPLEX questions are structured. About the NAPLEX now. Considering 100%, the NAPLEX questions are structured in the following way: obtaining, interpreting, assessing medical data or patient information, 18%, identifying drug characteristics, 14%, developing or managing treatment plan, 35%, performing calculation, 14%, compounding, dispensing, or administration of drugs, or manage delivery system, 11%, developing and managing practice or medication use system to ensure safety and quality, 7%. We'll now move to the next slide to talk about NABP. Again, this stands for National Association of Boards of Pharmacy. NABP is an independent, international, and impartial association that assists its member of all pharmacy state boards and jurisdiction for the purpose of protecting the public health. You may know that the United States consists of 50 states. Each of the 50 states has its own board of pharmacy, and all are the members of NABP. Each of the pharmacy state boards regulates its own scope of pharmacy laws and practice complying with the federal law. So, if a pharmacist wants to practice in a particular state, he or she must pass the law exam of that state in addition to meeting other essential requirements. Now, let's look at the members of NABP in the next slide. The NABP members are the following pharmacy state boards: the Board of Pharmacy of all 50 states in the United States, District of Columbia, in short, it is called DC, like Washington, DC. Then Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Island, and the associate members are Australia, Bahamas, and 10 Canadian provinces. Let's move to the next slide now. In this slide and the next, let's review some of the functions of the NABP. NABP supports the pharmacy state boards by offering and managing the following activities and much more: licensure and inspection. For example, they manage and help licensure transfer from state board to state board. They manage and help conducting supply chain inspection. They issue NABP Passport, which is a temporary authorization that allows pharmacists, pharmacy interns, and pharmacy businesses for practicing in other states. The passport has been developed by NABP in response to COVID-19. They also are responsible for managing and conducting the following examinations. NAPLEX. As stated before, it is an examination required for obtaining license for the practicing pharmacist. Then MPJE, Multi-State Pharmacy Jurisprudence Examination. This examination combines federal and state-specific questions to test pharmacy law knowledge, and pharmacists must pass MPJE for a state in which a pharmacist wants to practice. Now let's move to the next slide to learn more about the functions of NABP. NABP also supports the boards of pharmacy by offering the following: PCOA, that stands for Pharmacy Curriculum Outcomes Assessment. It is designed to function as a tool to help pharmacy colleges assess effectiveness of their curriculum for maintaining the accreditation standard of a CPE. NABP also conducts FPGEE, that stands for Foreign Pharmacy Graduate Equivalency Examination. It is an examination conducted online at a test center once a year. To pass the exam, a score of at least 75 is required to obtain FPGEC, that stands for Foreign Pharmacy Graduate Equivalency Examination Certificate. One must also pass the TOEFL IBT prior to taking FPGEE. By the way, IBT stands for Internet-Based Test. You can see now that how deeply NABP is involved in controlling and managing the pharmacy field in the US. Let's now move to the next slide. This slide and in next few slides we'll talk about continuing education, that is C in short, and the continuing education credits that are necessary for the practicing pharmacist in the US. So let's see now what CE is, and then later we'll learn about the C credits. C activities and courses are essential for pharmacists to keep up with the continuous changes and transformation in the field of pharmacy practice and education. And C activities or courses are structured and designed to educate pharmacists with emerging therapeutics and most updated evidence-based information available regarding pharmacy practice. Furthermore, the C activities or courses help pharmacists become the primary resource of drug information and advice regarding the safe, appropriate, and cost-effective use of medications. Let's go to the next slide now for more information on continuing education. NABP offers American Pharmacist Association's immunization certificate program through continuing education hours for the pharmacist. The certification provides pharmacists with skill, resources, and materials necessary to establish and promote a successful immunization service. Please note, pharmacist authority to administer vaccine is determined by each state's pharmacy laws and regulation, as stated before during this presentation. Now, let's move on to the next slide for more on C credits. C credits courses are made available for the pharmacist by multiple providers. For example, APHA, NABP, and other pharmacy organizations, pharmacy colleges, pharmacy magazines, etc. Cs are presented through live meetings, webinars, and home study material. Example, in printed material and internet-based. Just to clarify, webinars are considered live meeting. Usually, the duration of the Cs are 1 to 8 hours, and for your information, 1 hour duration. To complete a CE will earn 1 hour credit, and so on. The C credits accepted by all the pharmacy state boards are usually accredited by the Accreditation Council for Pharmacy Education, in short, ACPE. Let's go to the next slide, please. In this slide, I'll talk about the requirement of C credits for the practicing pharmacist by the pharmacy state boards. Just to let you know that each state board has its own requirement for the number of credits needed. Now, let's review some background information on the C credits requirement. Pharmacists need to renew their license registration every 1 to 3 years in the US depending on the requirement of each of the pharmacy state board. And between the renewal period, pharmacists are required to complete a minimum of 15 to 60 hours of C credits, again, depending on each state's requirement. Within the 15 to 60 C credits, pharmacists must complete at least 3 hours of C credits in a particular area of practice. Example, pharmacy law, medication error, HIV, etc. Again, depending the requirement of each of the state pharmacy boards. Attendance of some of C hours must be live based on the requirement, again, on each of the pharmacy state boards. Now, in the table below, I have used two states, New Jersey and New York states. From this table, you can see how both states differ from each other in terms of number of C credits and license renewal requirements. Now let's move to the next slide to look at some of the names of the pharmacy associations in the US. There are many professional pharmacy associations in the US providing leadership, education, advocacy, most updated information in healthcare system, and other resources that enable pharmacists to achieve and maintain highest professional standard. The following is a list of some of the key pharmacy associations that play a major role in enhancing pharmacy education and practice in the US. NABP, APHA, ACCP, ASHP, DIA, NARD, AACP, and ASCP. Now let's move to the next slide. Here, I'll discuss some of the career paths for the graduating PharmDs. Below are some of the numerous and diverse career opportunities available to the PharmD graduates: retail pharmacy, hospital pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, managed care, pharmaceutical industry, consultant pharmacy, academia, nuclear pharmacy, federal and state government, mail order pharmacy, home infusion, veterinary pharmacy, legal practice, poison control, and many more. Let me now review the ones in the green boxes only, starting from the next slide. So let's move to the next slide. Now, first, let's start with the retail pharmacy followed by hospital pharmacy. Retail pharmacy. Examples: independent, chain, supermarket pharmacies. In the retail pharmacies, pharmacists prepare and dispense medication after the prescriptions are received from the prescriber. They help customers choose OTC medicine. They have the most direct interaction with patient and customers. They also provide immunization, example, vaccination. Let's now look at the hospital pharmacy. Hospital pharmacists carry out many of the same services as the retail pharmacists stated above. However, they also prepare and dispense parenteral drugs, chemotherapy, diagnostic agents, special feeding solution, and perform other functions as well. They also manage therapeutic drug monitoring. Now let's move to the next slide to talk about clinical pharmacists. Clinical pharmacists usually are well trained and have postgraduate education. Following are some of the functions performed by the clinical pharmacist. They provide direct patient care that optimizes the use of medication, promotes health, wellness, and disease prevention. They care for patients in all healthcare settings, including hospitals. They participate in medical rounds in hospitals and review patient charts to ensure proper medication management need. They often work in collaboration with physician assistants, nurse practitioner, and other healthcare professionals. They also contribute to drug formulary. A drug formulary is a list of prescription drugs covered by a prescription plan or another insurance plan offering prescription drug benefits to the patient. Now, let's watch a short video clip on the role of a clinical pharmacist.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Grandy and I'm a clinical pharmacist at Mission Hospital. So when a lot of people think about a pharmacist, they think about the person in that white lab coat behind a counter at CVS or Walgreens who are counting the medications. But what I do is actually a little bit different. Most of my job doesn't even involve dealing with medications, touching medications, dispensing medications. I do more of patient interviews. I have a lot more patient interaction, and I'm an advocate for the patient with their physician and other healthcare providers that they may have. Making sure they get the best medications for their disease states, such as diabetes or high blood pressures or their cholesterol. As part of my job, we make sure the patients receive the best medication, and one of the ways we do that is we consider the patients from a holistic perspective, taking their preferences into consideration and also what would be best for them as a whole, and helping them prevent errors. One of the biggest things that we do is just getting an accurate, correct medication list that we can give to them to take to their healthcare providers and to their physician. I knew as a student that I wanted to do something in a hospital outpatient setting like Mission, and Asheville's kind of known for being progressive as far as pharmacy is concerned, so I knew I wanted to be here. So I did several of my rotations here as a student, and luckily they liked me, and I enjoyed working with all the people, the patients, the practitioners, and so I decided to stay here as a resident. One piece of advice that I would have for pharmacy students is, if you know what your interest is early on, try to make contacts with people who are in that field of pharmacy. Ask if you can spend a day with them to shadow and see exactly what it is that they do, because pharmacy is a huge world and there's lots of different things you can do. You can work at your community pharmacy such as CVS or Walgreens, you can work inpatient at the hospital, or you can do more of outpatient pharmacy services, which is what I do. I love my job, I love what I do, and one of the things that I like most about my job is my patients. So like I said, I actually follow patients on a monthly basis, and so I have relationships with them and they trust me, and I'm able to help them really take control of their health. Another part that I really love about my job is the collaboration. So I'm really part of a healthcare team. I work with physicians, I work with medical residents, I work with nutritionists, I work with exercise specialists, and it really takes a team to have the best possible care for your patient.
We will now talk about some of the opportunities for the PharmD graduates in the pharmaceutical industry, where I spent more than 30 years of my professional life. Here are some of the opportunities available in the pharmaceutical industry: drug development, clinical research, medical writing, drug supply for clinical research, drug safety, regulatory affair, medical affair, scientific communication, marketing and sales support, manufacturing. Just for your information, pharmaceutical industry in the US love to hire PharmD graduates. And I'm sure now you should know the reasons why based on my presentation so far. Let's now watch a video clip and find out how a pharmacist can choose a career of her interest in the industry after she started working in a hospital pharmacy.
I'm an executive director at Amgen, and I work in a group called Regulatory Promotion. It's my group that's responsible to help ensure that all of our product communication materials are compliant with FDA regulations. I kind of fell into my current area. As a pharmacist, we're prepared to do a number of different career roles. When I first got my pharmacy degree, I chose to work as a hospital pharmacist for a number of years. I decided to do a fellowship and I did the Industrial Clinical Pharmacy Fellowship affiliated with Rutgers University. So I worked in medical affairs, I worked in drug information, and I worked in regulatory. And what I really gravitated toward and just really liked, regulatory promotion. And that seemed to be my natural fit because it mixed my clinical background that I had gained as a PharmD with also advertising. I then went to FDA and I worked in the group that is now called the Office of Prescription Drug Promotion. I worked at FDA for a number of years and then I joined Amgen in essentially the same role. I'm not sure that there is a typical day. It's my group that's responsible to help ensure that all of our product communication materials are compliant with FDA regulations. We read new guidances that come out of FDA, and we provide comments back to FDA. So in my role, we keep up with the changing environment. For example, the regs were written long ago, but FDA's interpretations of the regulations may change. For example, when the promotion regulations were written, we didn't even have such things as cell phones. We didn't have mobile. We didn't have the internet. I work with teams of people that also work with industry organizations to discuss these things with Congress. So everything you learn, every experience that you gain, all of these are just building blocks to your career. You never know when you're going to use that information and apply it to your current role. You know, there are different ways to reach your goal. So I encourage you to take the time and do the soul searching to figure out what you want to do.
In this slide, I'll talk about consultant pharmacist. So, what is a consultant pharmacist? A consultant pharmacist is a medication therapy management expert who provides advice on the use of medications, generally for geriatrics, that is, the older patient population. The older patients usually are on multiple medication and therefore are in need of closer monitoring. Also, the consultant pharmacists are usually associated with long-term care facilities. Now, let's go to the next slide. In this slide, let's talk about pharmacists in academia. The examples of duties of academic pharmacists may include teaching professional student pharmacists, conducting scientific research, publishing in pharmaceutical journals, and speaking in organized scientific events. They are also associated with CE activities for practicing pharmacists. Now, let's look at the nuclear pharmacy in the next slide. Okay, so what is nuclear pharmacy? Nuclear pharmacy is a specialty area of pharmacy practice. It is dedicated to compounding and dispensing of radioactive materials for the use in nuclear medicine procedures. Nuclear pharmacists prepare and dispense patient-specific radiopharmaceutical dosage for the following: diagnostic imaging, therapeutic procedures for use in hospital nuclear medicine departments, and outpatient clinic. Now, let's talk about pharmacist's job in federal and state governments in the next slide. The following are the areas where the pharmacists are employed in the government in the U.S. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Food and Drug Administration, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, Veteran Administration, and state governments. Now we will watch a very interesting video about an Air Force pharmacist.
the Air Force, you get the opportunity to be a leader, a mentor, and a pharmacist. My name is Captain Kelby Kuhn, and I'm a pharmacist in the United States Air Force. So I was actually in my first year of graduate school for pharmacy, and a recruiter had come in and presented a program called the Health Professions Scholarship Program. And what it is they offer you a scholarship to pay for your grad school, and in return, you come on active duty and you do your job. Once selected, I went to Commissioned Officer Training School. It's a 6-week course in which they teach you military history, customs and courtesies, and you learn how to be an officer. And then you'll receive your orders and report to your base. And when I arrived, I remember getting the keys, showing up, and they said, "Here's your pharmacy, go ahead and run it." And I thought, wow, I never thought I'd be doing this 4 weeks out of grad school. As a pharmacist in the United States Air Force, I have the opportunity to work in one of the state-of-the-art facilities using the most high-tech automation, and I think that really helps make my job easy as a pharmacist. Patient wait times are decreased, and it effectively speeds up the process so our patients have a good experience. I recently had an opportunity to go to Guatemala on a humanitarian medical mission in which I was there for 2 weeks serving the people of Guatemala, and I think that's an awesome opportunity you don't see on the civilian side. I love that I get to help those who are sick, not feeling good and at their best. At the end of the day, in the last stop, they're at my window. I put a smile on their face before they walk out the door.
This slide is about pharmacists in home infusion centers. By the way, I think we are almost at the end of my presentation, so little more patience, please. Unlike retail or independent pharmacies, infusion centers are basically closed-door pharmacies that not only compound prescription for patient but also can administer therapy via needle or catheter and monitor a patient's treatment. Here are the additional key advantages. Pharmacist-led home infusion centers make it easier for patients to access long-term therapy without enduring prolonged hospital stays. Also, it enables patients to more quickly resume their normal activities. Home infusion can be more cost-effective than a long-term hospital stay. Additionally, it reduces the risk of hospital-acquired infection. Now, let's watch a video clip that summarizes the information you need to be a pharmacist in the US. I'm sure you can relate to this clip based on my presentation so far. Let's watch it now.
Think you might want to be a pharmacist? Here's some steps on how to get started and a little about the job. First of all, what is a pharmacist? A pharmacist is a healthcare professional who fills medical prescriptions and advises you about them. You might see a pharmacist at a drugstore, a grocery store, or in a hospital. To be a good pharmacist, you'll need to be a people person. Pharmacists talk to people about medical conditions and help them understand their medications. Be detail-oriented. Accuracy is extremely important in this job. Be good at science and chemistry. You'll need to know all about side effects and interactions. Here's the educational path to becoming a pharmacist. This is the traditional path, so yours may vary. After you've gotten your high school diploma or equivalent, you'll need to go to college and complete a bachelor's degree. Then you'll take the PCAT, an aptitude test for pharmacists. Based on your score and college grades, you'll attend a PharmD program where you'll get your PharmD degree. This will take 3 to 4 years. After you finish your education, you may need to complete a residency, getting on-the-job experience. Finally, you'll need to pass the North American Pharmacist Licensure Exam, or NAPLEX, and the Multi-State Pharmacy Jurisprudence Exam. After that, you're on the job.
In this slide, I have listed all the references that I used for this presentation. So I have come to the end of my presentation. I think I have covered all of the topics that are listed in the learning objectives of my presentation. I hope this will be beneficial for those who want to know and learn about the current pharmacy education in the US. This time, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer if we have time. If not, please email me at ddatta aol.com, and I would provide response as soon as I am able. Finally, I would like to say thank you for your attention, and I hope our paths will cross again and you have found this presentation to be informative and beneficial. Thank you.